I'm from Singapore. I'm from a very serious country. I'm not very funny, so I'm not going to be good in this class. I hope you can understand, like, clowns can be quite scary. I have a weird relationship with Singapore, but at the core of it is like, I love it. Like, I keep coming back. I don't know why. Like, I literally have a visa to leave. Like, I don't have to be here. But I keep coming back. He said to me, Shanice, I think you're very funny. I was like, really? And then he was like, yeah, I think you have something, like, you're very good. And I was like, I had this moment of, like, literally everything shattered for me.
Welcome to Before We Get There, the podcast where we explore people's journeys, how they got to where they are, what keeps them pushing forward, and where eventually they want to get to. I'm your host, Nicholas Braman, and today I'm joined by Shanice Stanislaus for a special Christmas episode. Shanice is a professional clown who has performed shows and won awards around the globe. We talked about how her artistic talents couldn't be kept quiet, even with traditional parents. What keeps bringing her back to Singapore, even when she's found success elsewhere, how she's learned to embrace failure, and much more. Enjoy the show and have a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Hi Shanice, thanks so much for joining me.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. This episode will go out on Christmas and it's the holiday season. So I wanted to make sure that we were in the Christmas spirit.
Yes, and you have a clown on your podcast today. So
yes.
Very Christmassy.
I think I wanted to start off with that because I'm sure you get this a lot when you tell people I'm a clown. You must get all kinds of different reactions. So how does that go when you're talking to people? And what does it feel like to introduce yourself as Shanice the clown?
First, I was like really shy. I wouldn't say I was a clown because, like, especially people here in Singapore, like, they would go like, clown. Like, you're joking, right? But then now I do it as a party trick. Like, when I meet new people, they're like, oh, hi, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a clown. And then I love watching their reaction. They're like, what? What? No, it's a real job. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a clown. Yeah. So it's been fun. I mean, I've been doing this for like 10 years. And so maybe for the first 8 was like hard to tell people that I was a clown. And then in the last 2, I was like, I'm a clown. Yeah, we grew into it.
You grew into your persona. That's amazing. So I think, going back, I know that you started because you were at NYU and you had a class that was about clowning. And you have said before that, you went into the classroom and kind of set expectations with the professor that, this is probably not going to be your thing, right?
I walked into the clown class and my teacher, Gregor, he was this bald old man. He came with all his like clown props. He came into class, like, welcome to clown class. I like went up to him before he started teaching. I went, hi, I'm Shanice. I'm from Singapore. I'm from a very serious country. I'm not very funny, so I'm not going to be good in this class. I hope you can understand, like, clowns can be quite scary. And he just like stared at me and he said, just play the games and you'll be fine. The way I've always trained as an actor was always very serious and very, I almost felt like you always had to put a mask on. I think that's a theme in my life. Like in Singapore also, you always have to put a mask on. We need to be successful. And clown class for me was this thing where you just take the mask off, which had never been taught to me. And I thought if I could benefit from it, then maybe everyone else in Singapore could benefit from it. So I came home.
So you discovered clowning at NYU and this wonderful experience and realized that it was a real profession and there were people who were doing it and you were actually good at it. But then I believe you ended up, after the NYU stint, you were back in Singapore.
Yes.
And you were kind of working a normal job. Yeah.
The bridge of that. Yeah. So I wanted to actually talk about the medical emergency, because it has a lot to do with clowning. Because when I took a clown class and I had all these like making mistakes or whatever, I had a lot of questions about the sustainability and longevity of an artist, especially as a dancer. And when I had that sort of emergency, it kind of made me question about my body and how much it can take like over time, especially in dance, and like where was my future. So then when I walked into this clown class, I saw that there was a lot of potential for anybody to be a clown. Like you could have a disability, you could have an illness. There was like an ease and an inclusivity with the art form that other art forms didn't seem to kind of advocate for. So that was like kind of a spark for me, because I started to feel like that there was a gap in the market for clowning. And so when I came back, I was still in college. I was finishing up my final year, and my final year project was a clown show that I wrote about a sick patient, which is very linked to like my life, doing her very last clown show. And it was about a clown show exploring like what it means to be ill and what it means to caregive for someone who is ill. And that was like things that were on my mind. So basically I did this clown show. It went so well that people gave me money to do it again, like professionally produce it again. And I was like, oh, so I don't know what to do with that. So at that time, after I graduated, I knew I was going to do this clown show again, but I needed like money and resources and all that. So then I do what every artist does, sell their soul to capitalism. Went to get a job. I was offered a job. The person who came to watch that show actually was starting like a Korean marketing, sort of creative marketing company at that time. And she needed like creatives on the ground to kind of build the commercial stuff. So she said, I really want to support you as an artist. And, you are really seeming like very good writer. And so if you want, you can work with me and you can still do your art, which was a really good deal. And so my job at the time was to work as the kind of head of marketing at this company and bring in all these creative friends who were also like me, freelancers, just fresh off college with all these skills. And we started making these like Korean commercials together. So I started to do commercials for like skincare and toothpaste and all that like stuff that they have, face masks. Like we were just making the wildest commercials, and it was like supported by this company. And we did so well that at one point we were in Korea, like showing a commercial. Yeah. So that was kind of the 9-to-5 job that I was doing. And I was doing it to fund the show that I was going to produce. And I didn't know what the quit date was because the money became really good. I'm not going to lie, but it was like, if it gave me stability to figure out like what was next. And so at that time, I didn't know what was next. I just kept working and writing at night.
So did you end up putting on that show again?
I did. I put on that show like, if the first time I did it was 2017, 2019, I put on that show. It went really well. I thought the audience received it really well. And I was very proud of myself for putting on like such a big project. Then after the show, I think what the next turning point was there was this clown workshop that was taught by my clown teacher from France, Philippe Collier. And he's like the clown teacher. I mean, there's a few, but everyone knows him because he trained like Sacha Baron Cohen and all the big stars. And he has a school in France, but he had a thing in Singapore where I think once a year he will come and teach for a week-long intensive here. So I signed up for that workshop because I was like, I have to go and learn with this guy. My whole thing is about clowning, but I don't really know much other than the NYU training that I had. So I signed up for his workshop, and this was the schedule. I will go for his workshop, and I'll go to work, I'll work my job, and then I'll go for his workshop. The first day of the workshop, he kicked me out of class because I was so bad on stage. Like I couldn't play, I was not funny. And he's notorious for this term called via negativa, where back in the day, the French teachers would train like these artists in a very negative way. So they will mock you and put you down. And so I didn't realize that was the method, but but that was what was happening. So he really threw me out of class. And I remember the workshop was in Waterloo Street. I had to go to Dhoby Ghaut MRT every day. I would literally walk after the workshop to Dhoby Ghaut, and it's like 10 minutes, and I would have a full-on existential crisis. Like, I'll be like, how did this happen? I think I would at some point cry, because I was like, how did I not be playful? Like, why is there such a block? And I think I don't want to blame it on the marketing job, but I think it's something to do with not like you kind of have to hide your playfulness, right? Like when you're working and you're following this idea of what everyone tells you to do. And I think that was what was happening. So I would walk that path for 5 days, because the workshop was 5 days. And I would have a full on like, how did this happen? How did I lose my play? Like this 2016 was when I had my first class, and it was the most beautiful like thing. And then we opened up, and then now we're closed and stuck. And on the last day of the workshop, his wife came up to me and said, Shanice, I think you would do really well if you left Singapore, go to France and train with us. And I said, France? Like which part? And they were like, oh, it's a small town outside Paris. I was like, small town? Like, oh, I was like, for how long? And she was like, oh yeah, it's 2 years. I was like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not going to leave my job and go to France for 2 years in clown school just to find my play. I said that to her. Then she was like, yeah, think about it. And it's so funny because I think maybe a week or 2 weeks after the workshop, like maybe something slapped me out of it, or something at work that I realized how much I hated doing my job. Like I hated using my creative talents to make other people rich. And the people that I was making rich weren't even nice people. They were terrible. Like they were so greedy, and it was just like two-faced. And I realized that I was like very deeply unhappy. So I had money, and I convinced my the boss that I could work remotely. I don't know, I was really good at this. I was like, I'm gonna go for like 3 months at a time. I'll come back in between breaks and I'll do the job, and I will hire additional people to make sure like all the projects are taken care of. And she kind of agreed. I left. So I left. I went to clown school, and when I told my parents I went to going to clown, I think they had seen my clown show actually, and they really liked. My mom really liked the clown shows. She said, "This is so much better than the other theatrical stuff that you do." Like she loves comedy, so I think she was open to it, but she was also like, "What are you doing?" Like, yeah.
So were they happy at that point that you've been working the marketing job?
Yeah.
And you got your degree, and it seemed like, okay, you're on a traditional standard path. Were they fine? Like, oh, thank God she didn't end up going off and doing something crazy.
I think my mom felt that. I think my dad is more open-minded he's an entrepreneur. So he was like more open-minded that I would go on to build things, because he would say, this is just an interim, but you should keep this job, until the next big thing comes for your art life or whatever. But then when I went to clown school, I thought he was very supportive of it. My mother was concerned about France, and I don't actually remember much of the episode. I just remember going like, bye, I'm leaving, packing my bags and going. And actually, no, I was going to go for a month. Yeah, that's what happened. I was going to go for a month. I said, I'm going to go for a month. They were like, yeah, training, that's good. I went to clown school for a month, because that was the first term was 1 month long, and then they had a break in the winter, and then you go like back again. So I went for a month. It was just supposed to be 1 month. I'll come back and do whatever. When I went there, it was like glorious. It was a small town off 1 hour off France. It was like 1 hour off Paris. And it was Parfour, clown school, and asylum. That were the main attractions of the town. The asylum I never went
Is that
to.
for after you're done with clown school? You go to the asylum.
I mean, there was like bakeries and bars, like very small town, and like those are the big things that the town was known for, like a big Carrefour. And at the end of the month, I was like, and like, because everyone's like, I'm coming back. We'll see you in January. Are you coming back in January? And I was like, no, I wasn't supposed to. And his wife, who saw me, she's like, Shanice, are you coming back? I said, no, I have a job, like I have to go back. And she's like, yeah, okay. Everybody always comes back. And then I went back home to like Singapore. I think it was like a weekend, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going back. Right.
So I have a couple of questions more about the process itself.
Yeah.
So this spontaneity, improvisation, making things up on the spot, how do you make it regimented? Like you have to turn it on and off when you go on the stage.
Yeah, so his school is known for this philosophy called le jeu, which is the game. And he believes that actors or comedian, you always need to find the game in anything that you do, the fun in it. If you're too like in your head, then the audience doesn't have the pleasure to watch you. So a lot of the training for the 2 hours in the first half of a class day is to kind of reignite that play in you. So even when we go on stage, it's like try to find the fun or the game that you can play while you're on stage. It could be like if the scene was a proposal, for example, like maybe the game that he would literally make us play is like he would put like 2 scarves behind us and we're proposing, but I'm trying to get the other guy's scarf while we're doing a scene or something like that. So that was kind of the philosophy. I think for me, when I started improvising, there's something that happens to me when I realize that doesn't happen here, but it happens abroad. There's something about my Singaporean, but like I'm not very like normal Singaporean. So when I go on stage, people find me funny. Like the look of me, maybe, I don't know, or my accent or like the way I think and talk because I'm quite direct. So when I try different things or I bring in like my own stories from back home, people find it fascinating. I don't actually have to work very hard to be funny in abroad. I don't know why. Like,
do you think it's like a juxtaposition of what they think from your look and then what you actually do and say?
Yeah, and I also think it's me. I find a lot of freedom to be abroad. I find a lot of freedom to perform for a non-Singaporean audience. And I think it comes down to like safety. I think I've always not felt safe to perform here because like the scene here is pretty tough. Like it's a small scene so that everyone knows everyone and there's the who's who, like they have certain opinions. And like if you're a young artist trying to get in like with your cool experimental ideas, like it's always like, oh, I don't know, I don't trust that. So I've always sensed that in the scene here, but there's a freedom abroad that you can be whoever you want because like the truth is if I mess up, I can just go home. I can just go home. Like no one knows me. I have nothing. There are no stakes. The audience are people I don't know. So it just felt more freeing. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's more like I feel free to do whatever I want, to be as crazy as I want. No one knows me here. I can say all the craziest jokes. I have a really wild mind of like jokes. And in these countries, they're more liberal. They have like centuries of like theatrical like shows and comedies being made. So people are just, I feel, more open to things. They're always like looking for new things and I'm a new thing. So that was what I felt like was happening.
So along those lines of the Singapore community and the performance scene here, I understand that first after clown school, you put on a very successful show and you won awards in Canada and all kinds of accolades. And then you came back to Singapore and you shared a bit about it, but I'd like to dig into it a bit more if we can, where you actually were talking to some people from some institutions here in Singapore, and they were very negative to what you had done.
Yeah, I mean, after clown school, I got scouted again by a Canadian producer, and then I got invited to write sort of this show, Mail Ordered, which now has toured and won a lot of awards. So I felt like after that, I kind of became more confident in the clown thing. And so, I love my home. I have a weird relationship with Singapore, but I at the core of it is like I love it. Like I keep coming back. I don't know why. Like I literally have a visa to leave. Like I don't have to be here. But I keep coming back, and I think it's because like there's always this feeling like you want to be appreciated and you want to be seen in your own home. Like you want your parents to love you, right? You don't want like your neighbor only to love you, right? So I think it's that. And then so when I came back, I was on tour. I went to Vancouver. That was the first stop. I won my first award there, and I thought, wow, I'm a clown. I just made it in Vancouver. Let me come back and maybe like there'll be auditions lining up for me. Like everyone wants to work with me, like that's the dream, right? So I came back. That was not true. There were no auditions waiting for me. No one wants to work with me. And so I had a few meetings lined up. First was with the Prime Minister's office. There was someone who wanted to just get to know me. Second was with the Esplanade, and the third is the National Arts Council. And then the first meeting with the Prime Minister's office, the guy just kind of asked me, "Oh, why aren't you featured in the Straits Times, like the national newspaper?" I said, "I don't know. Like, I don't work for the Straits Times. If they don't pick up the story, I can't speak for them." And then he said, "Yeah, that's because you're not good enough. Like, you need to be like Ajuma, which is the film that had just won like the Golden Horse Award." And I was a bit like, oh, so I have to come back with the Golden like Globes or like an Oscar award. Then they will feature me.
But he's the one who wanted to meet with you, right?
Yeah.
And was he an artist or in the arts community or anything?
He was just getting to know artists, but like it was like straight up. I don't know. Okay, I don't want to put any of these people down because like I think they genuinely did want to meet me and get to know my story. I think they were just speaking from the experience of like, obviously they haven't talked to a clown. Obviously they haven't talked to a clown that has won an award. So what are they going to say, right? So they don't have any references, like frame of references to what to do next. I was like odd. I was very odd. And so I think I never talked to him again. Like, and I don't want to. Like, I just felt like that was just rude. Yeah. But thanks. I will come back with the Golden Globes and I will find you and I will make a meeting with you and we will talk about it. Then the second one was with the Esplanade, and I'm very good friends with them now. I've done a lot of things for them, but that was just kind of like the first time they kind of heard about me and they wanted to know what I was doing. But, the person I talked to was very honest with me, and she said, Shanice, like a lot of people like here, they try clowning and then they quit. So we don't know like if you, like where this is, are you just saying like you're a clown and stuff? But like what really got to me was like, she said, I don't think, there's really a market for clown shows here. Like I don't think people really want to watch clown shows here. Nobody really knows you. So maybe you should go back to Canada and do your thing there. And I think she said it in a very kind way. Like it wasn't meant to put me down. But at that time, I was like, what? Like, really? You're not going to really that's where the conversation is leading. Like I thought you would be interested in this award-winning show that I have. So that was very heartbreaking. It was like that guy and then this theater, and my favorite theater was the Esplanade Theater. It is still the Esplanade. And they were like saying this to me and I was very like upset. And this was not the first meeting with them. Like I had a meeting with them when I first produced my first clown show, and the person that met me said, yeah, no one knows you. Like this is the thing. No one knows who you are. And so then years later, I get that again. So I was like, okay. And then the last one was the Arts Council. And I think they were very honest with me as well. They said like, Shanice, we don't know what clowning is. And you do too many things. Like we don't know you. So we don't know what your like reputation. And a lot of like what I'm hearing at that time was just a lot of, I don't know who you are. Don't try to apply. Like, there's nothing for you here. Get out.
So I think there's a couple of things this makes me think about. I mean, first of all, I had a lot of artists and creatives on the podcast before that we've talked to. And there's a theme, right? It's partly why I'm interested in talking to people, being here in Singapore and seeing how difficult that path is to not follow the rat race and do what everybody else is doing. So it's very interesting, these stories you're sharing. It's like they're very pragmatic and they're not willing to risk it on somebody new or not willing to platform you or give you a chance or support it anyway. And it also makes me think about the kind of thing we hear about in the job market for people today or young graduates today, where it's like, you need X number of years of experience before we'll hire you for this job, but nobody's willing to hire you to get the experience in the first place. So you're,
Yeah. I mean, I was shocked. I was like, I'm a young artist, I'm emerging. So you don't know me, but I don't know what I need to do. I need this for you to know me, but you don't, because you know what I mean? It's like a chicken and egg thing. How I got out of that, I mean, they did eventually take a chance on me, like not the prime minister's office, but like the other two. But what happened was I was so sad. I think I was depressed. Like I actually wasn't working. I wasn't getting any work. And I think I hit like rock bottom. And I felt like everything I was hearing is, you're not good enough. And I really internalized that. So I did decide to leave again Singapore and go and train with one of the top clown companies in the UK. They're called Spy Monkey, and they have a reputation for being one of the best. And they had a clown school. So I was like, since I'm not good enough, I'm gonna go be good. You know, I really went like a sad clown, like packing my luggage, crying, like going to London. I reached London. I went to this school. The first day of doing the workshop, I think at lunch, I was at a Waitrose or something in a supermarket. The artistic director who was teaching, he said to me, Shanice, you know, you're very funny. I was like, really? And then you say, yeah, you have something, like you're very good. And I was like, I had this moment of like literally everything shattered for me. Like I was there because I thought I wasn't good enough. But this guy who is like the top of the field in my industry said that I'm good. It was like this moment of, oh my God, I internalized all these people's words. It almost felt like I was a frog in the well. And then I jumped out of the well and then realized that the world is a much bigger place than the well. And the well was like all these industry people in Singapore. And then I went on tour again after that clown school. I continued my show on tour. The Arts Council funded me. They were very nice. They were taking a chance on me. And then that tour was like my big tour, like won 2 more awards, sold out all my shows, and then got a lot of press in Canada. And then hello, like Singaporean press picked it up. And then when the Singaporean press picked it up, hello, like all these people that I talked to weren't sure suddenly became very sure that clowning is very possible in Singapore. And then I was like, I really was watching this whole thing unfold, and I was like, really, you guys, a few months ago, you guys weren't speaking this tune. But anyway, I took it, and it was kind of heartwarming because I did my show in Singapore at the Esplanade. They gave me a chance to create something. And I remember taking a photo of it was out in the concourse area. The place was filled like all the way to the back. And I took a photo of that. And it like really meant a lot to me because I remember they said no one really is interested in a clown show. And then it was like families were like packing like half an hour before the show. They're like trying to squeeze in and they're trying to watch this show. And it really just says that it's not that no one wants to, it's just that there wasn't a show for them to like come to. And now that there's like opportunity, you know, for people to see a clown show. And I thought that was like, yeah, I think the lesson in it was people tell you no, and then you just go like, okay, whatever, like go do your own thing, you know.
So I want to go back to this identity piece because you mentioned it a bit before that you keep coming back to Singapore, but it really seems like a stark difference for you from the very first time you went to NYU to going to France and then to London and Canada, that like when you're outside of Singapore, you get this fresh breath of creativity, you get laughs and affection and accolades and people telling you how amazing you are. And then up until a certain point, it wasn't that way at all in Singapore. Not only for maybe what keeps bringing you back to Singapore, but also how does that make you feel as a Singaporean?
It's very mixed. Really struggle here, I'm not gonna lie. Even I think being a clown, you need to have a certain element of safety to feel safe enough to be funny or make people laugh. And that's the same for like I think any kind of profession. Like you need to feel safe. You want to feel at home and welcome. I struggle with that still, which is why I go back and forth with I create some of my best, biggest works like abroad. My most like risky works abroad. Like I was just in New York and that was like a risky work that I also made. And then I come back to educate. Like I teach a lot of clown workshops here. And why I do that is because I was thinking about it. I think I am a clown because I am from Singapore. I think about it, of course, because this place is, still evolving and, we are missing certain things about joy and being able to fail and like that sort of the soul piece to our city. And of course, a clown will emerge from this thing, and I think because I went through that and it didn't serve me. So when I found clowning, it helped me deal with that. And so coming back here, I really want to share that with as many people. And it's a lot of hard work because I deal with a lot of Singaporeans that come in and they're very excited to try clowning, but they have a lot of like walls and barriers. And really my job is to kind of like break it down so that I can like bring out the clown in them. And when they find it, it's like something connects. I don't know. I think we are very disconnected here as a society. We are told like we need to do one thing, but our soul or our like heart sometimes maybe in another thing. And a lot of us here, we spend a lot of our lives living in a very disconnected place where what we want doesn't match up with what we're supposed to do or like what we're doing externally. And I think for me, the clowning is the bridge to connect you back with who you are and who you've always been. And whether that leads to, changing your job or whatever, it doesn't matter. But the connection helps us just be more aligned again to speak our truth, our desires, and to set an example to the children before us, right? Like, because we've built this amazing city, society, it's efficient, it's great. But I think in doing that, we have lost kind of the humanity or the parts of ourselves that makes us like culture and like, trying to like become better human beings. We've lost that. And I think that's my role really to come back because I feel like there's the biggest need here. There's a big need for clowns here. And clowns have always been like needed in many situations. Like, like right now, there's a lot of humanitarian clowns. They're in like war zones and they're bringing like the dignity of joy back to children. Like that's a huge job that people don't see, but like, it's like healing a lot of trauma that's happening. I'm here because I think as long as people want a clown workshop, I will give it. And I keep wanting to quit this job, like, because it's hard. But then, like, someone will be like, oh, can you teach my students? And I'm like, oh, fine, I'll take it, And then I'll go in and I'll see all these, like, young adults who have been, like, roboticized. And, like, like, they're doing, like, whatever everyone else tells them to do. And, like, a clown workshop, 3 hours, you just see their play again. It just feels like I'm helping just them come into themselves. And I think I take that very seriously as a job.
Do you have any sort of, this now again sounds very pragmatic, but what kind of measures of success have you seen that you're making a difference? Maybe it's not analytical. Maybe it's somebody who's come to you after a workshop and they look more relaxed and more free and childlike. What kind of
Yeah.
things do you look for?
So many beautiful stories. Like I have a student, she follows me to every workshop. I love her so much. She probably is listening to this podcast too. She's a teacher and she came to my first workshop. She came in. I always ask people to share why they're here and what makes them funny. Like I want to know what their measure of funny is. And she said, "No, I'm here because I'm a teacher, and people always ask me to be the MC in school, so I'm here." And I'm very like, I feel very stuck. And every workshop she's come to, and every time she's put herself in that sort of clown space, she's the funniest like person I've met. Like she's so funny, you would never imagine. Like she really is like serious teacher. But that's just one example. Or like I did a workshop with a bunch of engineers. That was my favorite one. And one of them came up to me and said, "I'm an engineer." So again, I'm an engineer. I'm not very funny. Like I'm very serious. My profession is very serious. So I'm just here to like just follow my wife. Okay. 3 hours later, this guy was cracking everyone up. And there's something about clowning where when you are able to make someone laugh or bring joy to someone, and maybe it's a psychology aspect of it of like, oh, I did that. Like I'm capable of doing that. I have this in me. Like it just kind of loosens you up, and then you just feel like I have this superpower of like could bring a light to any situation. Like I'm capable of doing that. So he just came up to me after the class and he was like, I didn't realize I was so funny. And I was like, isn't it great? Now you can go into any client meeting and you can seal the deal because you're a funny guy. And people love funny people. Like, so I mean that was just that. And I work with all kinds of people. Oh my God, so many, but I think
I'd like to go back to that because I think for you, it seems like it's very natural. You're a natural performer and very artistic and creative. But it's very interesting when you're working with these, even though you started off also by saying you're Singaporean, so you're not that funny, but you've always been creative, at least that much, right? So, I mean, I know for myself, I have some events that I've run where we can't even get people to like participate in a Q&A. Like nobody is willing to raise their hand to be the first one to ask a question. So how do you break through to them and get them to take down those barriers and those masks?
Yeah, I mean, there is, I talk about safety. Safety is big in the clown world. You need to feel safe so you can let your guard down. And I think part of my job in a workshop is to be super vulnerable with them. And so in a workshop, I do create like that sort of, it is structured in a way. And then the last thing I do is with the red nose. That's where the clown comes. And I think there's a power in putting a red nose. We always say in clown world, like, people need to feel safe to hide behind something. So the nose is like a mask. If it's small enough so we can see your face, but small enough to feel like you can hide behind something. And I think with this structure, I've always managed to make people kind of loosen up. Like one or two people like really struggle. And, I always say that's fine because I was so bad on first week of clowns class. So it takes a lot of like knowing yourself. And my job is to not tell you like, here's a 5-step routine on how to be funny. But my job is to facilitate like bringing out the resource of joy within you. Yeah, I'm pulling it out. Like you're capable of it. I just help you like see it. So that's kind of how I do it. I don't know if I answered.
Yeah, definitely. So one more question from me is that I have a 3-year-old daughter, and you've talked about before how clowning is partly getting in touch with your inner child. Do you have any thoughts on how we can extend with children, for kids, how can we encourage and keep that playful and childlike part of them from disappearing in the first place as they get older and more serious and have homework and pressure and grades and all that stuff?
Yeah. I always say that children are like our role models as clowns. I once did a workshop and someone apologized and like, oh, sorry, I have to bring my children. I was like, no, it's perfect. They are the reason why we are clowns, to connect back. I think where we lose stuff is when we start to instill like a lot of maybe structure and rigidity. And the clown needs to be sort of loose and, playful. And I think I would say to help your children keep that part of yourself is that you need to role model it. Like you need to show them that you can fall on your face, you can make jokes. When you face like the hard things in your life, like the hard, like tough stuff, instead of being hard on yourself, you need a role model that you can be like, make a joke out of it sometimes. I won't say like deny your feelings and be avoidant, but like to show like, yes, there's hard stuff. And then this is my joyful way of doing it. And I love this idea of putting more joy into your life. Like you as a person, you want to get ice cream on a Tuesday afternoon, you go get ice cream. Like that makes you happy. And you need to like teach that to your children. You need to like instill this habit. You always walk the same path, like from point A to point B every day from home to work. You need to show your child like you are capable of walking a different path, like adding a little skip in your step, singing out loud. Like these are impulses that in our body that comes up, and like where we deny them is, oh no, everyone's watching me, I'm not going to do this. So it helps for you to model it so that they can see when they grow up, like I can do these things. And of course, they're going to have to go through life. Like I'm not saying like be a clown your whole life. There's like space. We need to be serious, but it's like, it's there to support you when you need it. But it's not like locked in a closet of like the lock is thrown, the key is thrown, like the clown is not there. Yeah, I would say that's what I would do.
Thank you. That's great advice. Okay, one last question I always like to ask all my guests looking forward towards the future. If I were to sit down again with you in 5 years, have a cup of coffee and talked about what's happened since then, what things would you like to be able to tell me that would make you happy and feel like it was a good 5 years that has happened since today?
I'll come home with a Golden Globe Award.
That's so pretty cool.
Yeah, let's manifest it. Yeah. Things that I would like in 5 years. Yes, an award would be great. And I would love to have thought more workshops. Like I want to share it with as many people. I'm currently writing a TV show. Hopefully that gets made. And yeah, we'll see. Or like a version of it. We'll see. And I hope that in 5 years, there are more clowns here. That I'm not the only one. Hopefully.
Are you going to start a troupe or something?
I think that's a lot of pressure, but if it comes out, yes. But I think what I'm chasing now is to find different ways to grow as my craft, in whether it's performing, storytelling, writing. And I want to work with kind of the best in the industry. Like, I really want to work there. Like, I feel like I haven't learned everything there is to know. And so in 5 years, I hope to tell you that I've been at the big tables where the big decisions are made. And I'm part of that table, and I'm making work that actually means something to people and, inspires them to laugh and find joy. And I created that.
Awesome. Well, we definitely hope to see that happen for you and believe it can. Before we go, where can people find you and follow along with your journey?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Shanice Stanislaus, or my company, Creatives in Spirit. We're on Instagram. We have a website, www.creativesinspirit.com. And if you see me on the street, just say hi.
Okay, we'll put that all in the show notes. And so the Creatives in Spirit is where they can find out about the workshops if they're interested in those?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, thanks so much. We'll have to say Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Before We Get There with your host, Nicholas Braman. Please like and subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Before We Get There Podcast. New episodes are released every other Thursday morning. See you next time.